Chapter 1. The perfect life I thought I had. I used to think I had it all figured out. My name is Chen. I'm 32 years old, and I'm an architect in Seattle. For the past 2 years, I've been living what everyone told me was a dream life. My wife, Vanessa, is or was a lifestyle influencer with 800,000 followers. Her entire brand was built on authenticity and real love. People looked at us and saw #relationship goals. They saw perfection. We met 4 years ago at a gallery opening in downtown Seattle. I was there because my firm had designed the space. She was there because she was always everywhere, camera ready, capturing moments. But that night, she wasn't performing. At least, I didn't think she was. She stood in front of a photograph for 20 minutes, just looking at it. No phone, no pictures, just genuine appreciation. I approached her, and we talked about art and architecture until the gallery closed. She seemed different from what I imagined influencers would be like. She was grounded, intelligent, curious about my work. She asked questions that showed she actually cared about the answers. We started dating and it felt natural, easy, real. 2 years ago, we got married in Napa Valley. It was an intimate ceremony, 50 people, a small vineyard, golden hour lighting. The photos from that day went viral. 2 million views across her platforms. Comments poured in. This is what true love looks like. Finally, an influencer keeping it real. Their wedding photos made me cry. Those images became the foundation of Vanessa's brand. She landed partnerships with major companies, beauty brands, fashion lines, wedding planners. 6-figure deals, all because people believed in our love story. They believed in the authenticity she promised. I remember looking at those photos myself, feeling proud. We looked so happy, so in love, so real. Vanessa hired an assistant about 8 months ago. Riley was 26, a photography student looking to break into the industry. She seemed eager but harmless, always in the background with her camera, capturing candid moments of our life. I didn't pay much attention to her. She was just part of Vanessa's world, and I had learned to accept that world came with cameras and constant documentation. Most evenings followed the same comfortable pattern. Vanessa would be at her desk editing content, adjusting filters, crafting captions. I'd be on the couch sketching building designs, occasionally looking up to watch her work. We'd exist in parallel, comfortable in our routines. "What do you think of this one?" she'd ask, turning her laptop toward me. I'd glance at whatever perfectly curated image she'd created. "Looks great, babe." She'd smile and go back to work, and I'd go back to my sketches. I felt secure. I felt loved. I thought I knew my wife. I had no idea that everything, our marriage, her career, the life we'd built, was constructed on a foundation of lies. Chapter 2. The anonymous message. Before continuing to the next chapter, please subscribe, like, and comment below. Which part shocked you the most? Let me know. It was a Tuesday when my world started crumbling, though I didn't know it yet. I was at my downtown office, reviewing blueprints for a residential project, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Vanessa got troll messages constantly, and occasionally they'd find my number too. But something made me look. The message was simple, just one paragraph. "Your wedding photos are fake. Check the metadata." Riley wasn't even hired until last year. I stared at the screen, reading it 3 times. My first reaction was irritation. Another jealous troll trying to stir up drama. Vanessa dealt with this constantly. People claiming she photoshopped her body, that her life was staged, that our relationship was for show. I started to delete the message, but something stopped me. Riley wasn't even hired until last year. I tried to remember exactly when Vanessa had brought Riley on. She'd mentioned finding her through a photography forum. Someone young and hungry who understood her aesthetic. But when exactly was that? Then I tried to remember our wedding day. Who took those photos? We'd hired a professional photographer. I remembered signing a contract, writing a check. But those viral candid shots that made Vanessa famous, the ones that landed all the brand deals, who captured those moments? I sat back in my chair, the blueprints forgotten. I remembered the ceremony clearly. My mom crying during the vows. Vanessa's best friend Sarah giving a toast that had everyone laughing. The first dance. All of that was real. But the specific photos? The ones that went viral? I realized I couldn't picture who was taking them. Mr. Chen. Jennifer, my assistant, knocked on my door. Your 2 o'clock is here, right? Thanks, Jennifer. Give me 5 minutes. She nodded and left, but I couldn't focus on the meeting ahead. That message burned in my mind, demanding attention. I spent the rest of the day distracted. In meetings, I nodded at appropriate times but didn't really hear what anyone said. I reviewed documents without absorbing their content. My mind kept circling back to that message. Check the metadata. I'm an architect, not a tech expert, but I know metadata exists. Digital footprints that reveal when and where photos were taken. I'd never had a reason to check before. That evening, I came home to find Vanessa in full production mode. She had a ring light set up in our living room, her phone on a tripod. She was filming a day in the life video, talking to her camera like it was her best friend. So I'm just making a quick healthy dinner, she said, stirring a pot on the stove that I knew had been carefully staged. Marcus will be home soon, and we always try to eat together. It's important to prioritize quality time with your partner. You know? I stood in the doorway watching her perform. She saw me and smiled, a genuine smile, then immediately went back to camera mode. And speak of the devil. Hey babe. Hey, I said, feeling like an actor who'd forgotten his lines. She filmed for another 10 minutes, then finally turned off the camera. Her shoulders immediately relaxed, the performance mask slipping away. Long day? She asked, actually looking at me now. Yeah. You? Exhausting. I've been creating content for 6 hours straight. 3 sponsors need posts by Friday. She rubbed her temples. I need a glass of wine. I poured us both wine, watching her as she scrolled through her phone, already reviewing the footage she just captured. She was beautiful, I'd always thought so. Dark hair, sharp cheekbones, expressive eyes. But right now, all I could see was someone I wasn't sure I knew. Vanessa, I said carefully. When did you hire Riley again? She didn't look up from her phone. About 8 months ago. Why? Just wondering. And our wedding photographer, what was their name? Now she looked up, slightly annoyed. Marcus, that was 2 years ago. Why does it matter? I pulled out my phone and showed her the message. Her face went pale. Just for a second. A flash of fear before she recovered, but I saw it. Then she laughed. That's ridiculous. People are so jealous and bored. They'll say anything to get attention. She handed my phone back. Don't let trolls get in your head, babe. But, Marcus. She put her hand on my arm, her eyes sincere, or seemingly sincere. I couldn't tell anymore. You were there. You know our wedding was real. Some stranger on the internet doesn't know our life. Ignore it. She kissed my cheek and went back to her phone. The conversation was over, dismissed as quickly as it had started. But I couldn't ignore it. That flash of fear I'd seen in her eyes. That was real. Whatever else was performance, that moment of panic was genuine. That night, I lay in bed next to my wife, listening to her breathe softly in sleep. The message glowed in my mind. Check the metadata. At 2 in the morning, I got up as quietly as I could and went to Vanessa's office. Chapter 3. The evidence I wished I never found. Vanessa's office was her sanctuary. A spare bedroom we'd converted into a content creation space. Ring lights, backdrops, a desk with a high-end laptop and editing monitors. I'd helped her set it up last year, proud that my wife was building something successful. Now I sat at her desk, my hands shaking, feeling like an intruder in my own home. I knew her laptop password. We'd never had secrets, or so I'd thought. She used my birthday, March 15th, 0315. I typed it in, and the screen unlocked. Her desktop was organized chaos. Folders labeled by month, by sponsor, by content type. I found what I was looking for quickly. Wedding Napa Valley, June 2024. I clicked it open. Hundreds of photos loaded. I recognized them immediately. These were the images that had launched Vanessa's career into the stratosphere. Me tearing up during our vows. Vanessa laughing with her bridesmaids. Our first dance. The sunset photos that looked like a movie scene. I'd seen these photos 1,000 times. I'd showed them to my mom, to friends, to coworkers who asked about the wedding. They were beautiful, perfect, real. Except they weren't. I downloaded the entire folder to a USB drive, then opened a metadata viewer I'd quickly Googled on my phone. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. The first photo. Me during the vows, tears on my cheeks, looking at Vanessa like she was my entire world. Date created, December 15th, 2025. 6 months ago. Location, Portland, Oregon. Some studio address I didn't recognize. My stomach dropped. I checked another photo. The famous one of Vanessa laughing with her bridesmaids. Champagne glasses raised. Date created, December 15th, 2025. Same Portland address. Another one. Us dancing under string lights, her head on my shoulder, both of us smiling. Date created, December 15th, 2025. Portland, Oregon. I went through every viral photo from our wedding. Every single one that had defined Vanessa's brand. Not one of them was taken in Napa Valley in June 2024. They were all created in Portland in December 2025. 6 months ago. I sat back, feeling like I was drowning. The room seemed to tilt. I opened another folder, one labeled Wedding Shoot Planning. Inside were documents I never knew existed. Shot lists, lighting diagrams, a contract with Riley for Wedding Photo Recreation Services, $8,000. Wedding Photo Recreation Services. I found text message screenshots she'd saved for reference. Conversations between Vanessa and Riley discussing angles, lighting, how to make me look more emotional in certain shots. One message from Vanessa made me physically nauseous. We need Marcus looking more emotional in the vow shots. Can you Photoshop tears? His expression is good, but I need the tears for impact. Riley's response, already done. Added tears to 3 shots. No one will know. They look completely natural. Another exchange. Vanessa, the dancing photos aren't working. Marcus looks too stiff. Riley, we can fix it in post. I'll adjust his posture and facial expression. Do you have photos from the actual wedding I can reference for his smile? Vanessa, check the folder. Use the candid from the reception. His smile in that one is perfect. I clicked through more files, each one worse than the last. There were behind-the-scenes photos from the shoot. Riley had documented the process. Photos of a rented venue space made to look like our Napa Valley location. Vanessa in her wedding dress, posing alone, then with me clearly photoshopped in later. Me in my tuxedo, doing various emotional poses in front of a green screen. I didn't remember any of this, which meant I searched for more context and found it. A detailed plan document. Phase 1. Improve existing wedding photos through editing. Timeline, August 2025. Phase 2. Recreate key viral potential moments using studio photography and compositing. Timeline, December 2025. Phase 3. Integrate recreated photos into portfolio. Phase out original photos gradually. Timeline, January-March 2026. Below that, a financial projection. How much engagement the improved photos would generate. Expected sponsorship revenue. ROI calculations. Our marriage had become a business plan. And when the authentic product wasn't profitable enough, she'd manufactured a better version. I found myself in the bathroom, throwing up. Then I sat on the tile floor, my back against the bathtub, trying to process what I'd learned. The wedding I remembered was real. I was there. It happened. But it wasn't the wedding her 800,000 followers had seen. She'd taken our genuine moments and replaced them with fabricated perfection. She'd sold a lie, and I'd been both the unwitting subject and the fool who believed it. I heard movement from the bedroom. Vanessa stirring, probably reaching for me and finding my side of the bed empty. I splashed water on my face, closed all the files on her laptop, and slipped back into our bedroom. "Marcus," she mumbled, half asleep. "Where were you?" "Bathroom," I said. "Go back to sleep." She rolled over, already drifting off again. I lay next to her in the dark, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. I had evidence. I had proof. I could confront her right now, demand explanations, watch her try to justify the unjustifiable. But something stopped me. She'd been lying to me for months, lying to her followers for months, building a career on manufactured authenticity, and she'd done it all while sleeping next to me every night, kissing me goodbye every morning, telling me she loved me. If I confronted her now, she'd go into damage control. She'd spin it, minimize it, probably find a way to make herself the victim. She was good at that, creating narratives, controlling stories. No, I wouldn't give her that chance. I'd document everything. I'd watch. I'd wait. And I'd let her bury herself with her own choices. By the time the sun came up, I hadn't slept at all. But I had a plan. Chapter 4. Playing the role, the next few days were the worst of my life. I went to work, came home, kissed my wife, ate dinner, watched TV, went to bed. I played the role of Marcus Chen, loving husband, supporter of his influencer wife's dreams. I smiled and nodded and said all the right things. And inside I was dying. Every morning, Vanessa would show me content she'd created. "What do you think of this caption?" she'd ask, reading something carefully crafted to sound spontaneous and genuine. "Sounds great," I'd say. Every evening, she'd talk about her day, her stress about engagement rates, her excitement about new sponsorship opportunities. And I'd listen and comfort her and pretend everything was normal. "You're the best, you know that?" she said one night, curling up against me on the couch. "You never complain about all this influencer stuff. Some partners would be jealous or annoyed, but you've always been so supportive." "I just want you to be happy," I said. It wasn't even a lie. I had wanted that once. Behind the scenes, I was documenting everything. I made copies of all the files from her laptop, every contract, every message, every planning document. I saved them in multiple locations. Cloud storage, external drives, a shared folder with my lawyer. My lawyer. I called David the day after I discovered everything. David Chen, no relation, despite the shared last name, had been my friend since college. We'd lived in the same dorm, pledged the same fraternity, stood in each other's weddings. He was 35 now, a successful divorce attorney, pragmatic and sharp. We met at a bar in Belltown, somewhere Vanessa would never go. Too dive why, not aesthetic enough for her content. "You look like hell," David said when I sat down. "Thanks." He ordered us both whiskey. "Talk to me." I told him everything. The message, the metadata, the fake photos, the contracts. He listened without interruption, his expression getting grimmer by the minute. When I finished, he sat back. "Jesus, Marcus." "Yeah. Okay. First question. What do you want? Divorce? Revenge? Closure? Because how we proceed depends on what your goal is." I stared at my whiskey. "I don't know yet. I just know I can't keep pretending forever. It's killing me." "Understandable." David pulled out a legal pad, already thinking like a lawyer. "From a legal standpoint, you have grounds for divorce based on fraud. She deceived you and used your image for commercial gain without proper consent. You could probably sue for emotional distress, misappropriation of likeness, maybe more. I don't want to sue her. I just want—" I stopped, trying to find the right words. "I want her to face consequences. Real ones. I want her to understand what she did." David nodded slowly. "Revenge, then. Or justice, depending on how you look at it. Is there a difference? Philosophically? Yes. Legally? Not really." He made notes. "If you want to hit her where it hurts, her career, her reputation, her bank account, we have options. But Marcus, you need to be sure. Once you pull this trigger, there's no going back." "I'm sure." He studied me. "Are you? Because right now you're angry and hurt, and that's valid. But in a month, 6 months, a year, are you going to regret destroying her?" I thought about Vanessa sleeping peacefully next to me while I lay awake, drowning in her lies. I thought about the 800,000 people who believed in our love story, who bought products because they trusted her authenticity. I thought about how she'd looked me in the eye and dismissed my concerns as paranoid trolling. "I'm sure," I said again. David nodded. "Okay, then here's what we do. We talk strategy for 2 hours. Document everything. Don't confront her yet. Let her continue, maybe even give her enough rope to hang herself. Consult with other attorneys about fraud claims. Start the divorce paperwork but don't file yet." "What about going public?" I asked. "If I expose the fake photos, her career implodes." "It would," David agreed. "But that's a nuclear option. Once it's out there, you can't control the narrative. Media gets involved, internet mobs form, it gets messy fast. Are you ready for that?" I wasn't sure. I just knew I couldn't keep living this lie. That weekend, Vanessa planned a content shoot. She wanted me involved, a husband appreciation post for Valentine's Day. Even though it was only January. "We need to create content ahead of time," she explained. "Stay on schedule. Keep the feed cohesive." I agreed like always. Riley arrived Saturday morning with equipment bags and a fake cheerful smile. I saw her differently now. She wasn't just a quiet assistant in the background. She was an accomplice. A co-conspirator who'd helped my wife commit fraud. She avoided my eyes as she set up lights in our living room. "Marcus, can you stand here?" Vanessa positioned me by the window. "I'm thinking we do some shots of us cooking together. Some on the couch. Maybe one with you bringing me flowers. Whatever you need," I said. She smiled at me, completely unaware. "You're so easygoing. I love that about you." For the next 2 hours, we posed. Vanessa directed everything. "Marcus, put your hand on my waist. Look at me like you're in love. No, more genuine. Think about our wedding day." The irony wasn't lost on me. Think about our wedding day. Which one? The real one or the fabricated one that built your career? I did exactly as she asked. I put my hand on her waist. I looked at her with what I'm sure looked like love. Maybe it was love in a twisted way. Or maybe it was just the muscle memory of 2 years of performing for her camera. Riley took hundreds of shots, occasionally giving direction. "That's perfect. That looks so natural. Great chemistry, you two." Natural. Chemistry. I wanted to laugh. "Can you kiss her forehead?" Riley asked. "That always gets great engagement." I kissed Vanessa's forehead. She closed her eyes, smiling, the picture of contentment. Click, click, click. After 2 hours, Vanessa and Riley reviewed the photos together on Riley's laptop. I brought them both coffee, playing the perfect husband. "These are amazing," Vanessa gushed. "Riley, you're so talented. Look at this one, Marcus." She turned the screen toward me. It was a photo of us on the couch, her head on my shoulder, both of us smiling. We looked happy. We looked in love. We looked exactly like the fabricated wedding photos. "Beautiful," I said. "I'm so lucky," Vanessa said, kissing my cheek. "Amazing husband. Amazing career. Amazing life." Riley packed up her equipment, still avoiding my gaze. As she left, I walked her to the door. "Thanks for today," I said quietly. She finally looked at me, and I saw something in her eyes. Guilt? Fear? Shame? "Sure," she said. "Anytime." That night, Vanessa curled up next to me in bed, scrolling through the photos from our shoot. "I think this will get at least 50,000 likes," she said. "Maybe more if we time it right." 50,000 likes. That's what our manufactured intimacy was worth. "That's great, babe," I said. She fell asleep quickly, phone still in hand. I carefully took it from her and plugged it in, then lay in the dark, counting down the days until I could stop pretending. Chapter 5. Riley cracks 2 weeks later. Everything accelerated. I was at my office reviewing building codes when Jennifer buzzed me. "Mr. Chen, there's someone here to see you." "A Riley?" She says it's urgent. My heart jumped. "Send her in." Jennifer showed Riley into my office, and I immediately saw something was wrong. The young woman looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back messily, hands fidgeting with her phone case. "Riley," I said carefully. What's going on? She sat down across from me and immediately started crying. Not pretty crying, the kind of raw, desperate crying that comes from weeks of barely holding it together. I can't do this anymore, she sobbed. Marcus, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I handed her tissues from my desk and waited. Let her talk. Let her confess. I need to tell you the truth, she said through tears. About the wedding photos. About everything. Okay, I said calmly, even though my pulse was racing. And then she told me everything. She explained how it started 6 months after Vanessa hired her. Vanessa's engagement rates had been dropping. Competition in the lifestyle influencer space was intense, and she needed viral content to stay relevant. She'd looked at her analytics and realized that the wedding photos, the original, authentic ones, had performed best. But they weren't quite perfect enough. Not quite emotional enough. Not quite aesthetic enough. She came to me with the idea, Riley said. She'd been planning it for weeks. She wanted to recreate the wedding, or at least the key moments. Make them better. More shareable. More marketable. And you agreed. She offered me $8,000 up front, Riley said, shame heavy in her voice. I had student loans, rent, credit card debt. $8,000 seemed like a fortune, and she made it sound so harmless. She said everyone edits photos, that this was just taking it a step further. That no one would get hurt. But I got hurt. I know. Fresh tears streamed down her face. I knew it was wrong. Even as we were doing it, I knew. But I was in so deep, and Vanessa was so persuasive. She kept saying you'd understand if you knew, that you'd support her career, that it was just business. Riley explained the logistics. They'd rented a venue space in Portland that could pass for the Napa Valley location. Hired actors to stand in as background guests for wide shots. Had me come in for what Vanessa told me was a couple's photo session for an anniversary thing. I vaguely remembered that now, back in December. I thought it was weird but went along with it. She told you it was for anniversary content? I asked. Riley nodded. She was always lying to you about what we were shooting. You'd think you were doing one thing, and she was actually using the photos for something else entirely. And then I'd manipulate them in post-production. Composite your face from one photo onto a body from another. Change expressions. Add or remove elements. Photoshop tears, I said flatly. Riley's face went white. You know about that. I know about all of it, Riley. I've seen the files. She looked like she might throw up. How long have you known? Couple weeks. And you haven't said anything to Vanessa? No. Why not? I leaned back in my chair. Because I wanted to see what she'd do next. And I wanted to see if you'd come forward. Riley wiped her eyes. I'm coming forward now. I can't keep lying. Vanessa wants to do it again. Fake photos from a romantic anniversary trip we supposedly took to Hawaii. She's got the whole thing planned out. Studio shots, photoshopped backgrounds, the works. And I can't. I can't keep doing this. So you're here out of guilt? Or because you're afraid of getting caught? She considered that. Both, honestly. I'm guilty and I'm terrified. What we did is fraud, isn't it? And I've been lying to you, to her followers, to the brands paying her. I could face legal consequences. But more than that, I look at you and Vanessa, and I see what I helped destroy and I feel sick. I studied her carefully. She looked genuinely distraught, but I'd been fooled before by people who looked genuine. What do you want from me, Riley? Forgiveness? Absolution? No, she said quickly. I don't deserve that. I want to make it right, or as right as I can. I'll testify if you need me to. I'll give you everything, all the original files, contracts, communications. I'll go public if you want. Whatever you need. This was it. My moment. With Riley's cooperation, I could destroy Vanessa's career immediately. Expose everything, watch it all burn. But something made me pause. Give me everything, I said slowly. All the files, all the evidence. But don't say a word to Vanessa. Keep working for her. Act normal. Riley looked confused. Why? Because I'm not ready yet. And when I am, I want the impact to be complete. Okay. Riley said. Whatever you want. I just want to help fix this. She pulled out a hard drive from her bag. This is everything. Every planning document, every contract, every message. The original photos before and after manipulation. Everything. I took it. Thank you. Before she left, I stopped her. Riley? One more thing. Yeah. Did she ever love me? Or was I always just content? Riley's face crumpled. I think she loved the idea of you, Marcus. The supportive husband, the stable relationship, the aspirational lifestyle. But somewhere along the way, she started loving the brand more than the reality. I'm sorry. After Riley left, I sat in my office for a long time, holding the hard drive. I had everything now. Complete evidence. A cooperating witness. The power to end Vanessa's career with a single post. A single call to the right journalist. But I still wasn't ready to pull the trigger. I wanted Vanessa to make the next move. I wanted to see what she'd do when she thought she was safe, when she thought she'd gotten away with it. I didn't have to wait long. Chapter 6. Vanessa asks for grace that evening. I came home to find Vanessa crying at the kitchen table. For a moment, my heart jumped. Did Riley tell her? Did she figure it out? But then Vanessa looked up at me, her face desperate and panicked, and I realized this was something else. Marcus, she said, her voice shaking. Riley quit. I set down my briefcase slowly. What? She just sent me a message. Out of nowhere. Said she can't work for me anymore. Effective immediately. Vanessa's hands were trembling. Marcus, I'm screwed. I have 3 brand campaigns due next week. Product launches. Time-sensitive content. I need her. I sat down across from her. That's strange. Did she say why? No. Just that she can't do it anymore. Vanessa's eyes were red from crying. This is going to ruin me. I can't shoot and edit everything myself. I'm going to have to refund the sponsorships. And if I do that, I'll lose those relationships forever. I watched her spiral, feeling oddly detached. She was panicking about business consequences, not moral ones. I'm sure you can find another assistant, I said. Not on this timeline. And Riley knew my style, my aesthetic, my whole process. Training someone new will take weeks. She put her head in her hands. Why would she do this to me? Why would she do this to me? Not, I wonder if something's wrong with Riley. Not, I hope she's okay. Just, how could she inconvenience me like this? I stood up and poured myself a drink. Maybe she had her reasons. What reasons? Vanessa snapped. I paid her well. I gave her experience and portfolio pieces. I was a good boss. I took a long drink of whiskey and said nothing. Vanessa stared at me, and I watched something shift in her expression. The panic morphed into fear. Real, genuine fear. Marcus, she said quietly. There's something I need to tell you. My pulse quickened, but I kept my face neutral. Okay. She took a shaky breath. Some of the photos from our wedding, they weren't exactly real. I set down my glass carefully. What do you mean? I mean dash. She looked down at her hands. Our original wedding photographer, they lost some files. Important ones. And I panicked because those photos were crucial for my brand, and I had sponsorships lined up and I needed them. So Riley and we recreated a few shots. A few shots. Not dozens. Not a calculated fraud scheme. Just a few shots because of lost files. I let the silence stretch. Which photos? I asked finally. She named 3. The crying during vows shot. The bridesmaids laughing shot. The dancing under string lights shot. The 3 that had gone most viral, that had launched her career into 6-figure sponsorships. It was just those 3, she said, lying directly to my face. Everything else was real. I swear. Just those 3, I repeated flatly. Yes, I know I should have told you, but I was scared. My career was just taking off, and I needed those perfect moments, and I knew if I told you, you'd be upset. I was going to tell you eventually, the timing never felt right. When? I asked. When were you going to tell me? After you staged our anniversary? After you faked our first child's birth? Her face went white. I would never. Wouldn't you? I stood up and she flinched. Riley told me everything, Vanessa. Not a few photos. Dozens. Not lost files, a calculated plan to manufacture content. $8,000 upfront. More for additional projects. Shot lists and lighting diagrams and contracts for wedding photo recreation services. She stared at me, frozen. The photoshopped tears. I continued. The green screen shoots. The rented venue in Portland. The actors playing wedding guests. The composite images. The Phase 1, 2, 3 rollout plan. The financial projections. Every single detail. Marcus. I've seen the files, Vanessa. I have copies of everything. Every contract, every message, every planning document. And Riley? She gave me even more. A cooperating witness with first-hand knowledge of your fraud. Vanessa started sobbing. Marcus, please. Please. Let me explain. Explain what? How you turned our marriage into content. How you sold fake intimacy to 800,000 people. How you lied to me, to your followers, to every brand that paid you for authentic representation. She reached for me and I stepped back. I'm sorry, she cried. I'm so sorry. I know I messed up. Started small, just editing photos to make them better, and then it escalated. But I did it for us, for our future. The money I made, don't. My voice was hard. Don't you dare say you did this for us. You did this for you. For your brand, your career, your ego. You're right. She was gasping now, desperate. You're right. I was selfish. But Marcus, please. I love you. I know I messed up, but I love you. I can fix this. I'll delete the posts. I'll issue an apology. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. I looked at my wife. This woman I'd shared a bed with, shared a life with, and felt nothing but contempt. Please, she begged. Please, Marcus. Give me a chance. Give me grace. I'm asking you as your wife. Please show me grace. Grace. I grabbed my jacket and keys. Marcus, where are you going? I turned back to her at the door. Her face was streaked with tears, mascara running, looking more real than she'd looked in months. You want grace? I asked quietly. She nodded frantically. Yes, please. I'm begging you. Okay, Vanessa. I'll give you grace. Hope flooded her face. Thank you. Thank you so much. I promise I'll step aside. I continued. And watch your world collapse. I walked out, leaving her screaming my name behind me. Chapter 7. The unraveling begins. I checked into a hotel that night. A nice one downtown, the kind with room service and city views. I ordered whiskey from the bar and sat by the window, watching Seattle's lights blur in the rain. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Vanessa calling, texting, leaving voicemails. I ignored all of it. The next morning, I met David at his law office. He had divorce papers ready. You're sure about this? He asked. File it. He nodded and started making calls. But I didn't go public. Not yet. I wanted to see what Vanessa would do with the grace I'd given her. Would she come clean? Would she own her mistakes? Or would she do what I suspected? Try to control the narrative, minimize the damage, spin herself as the victim? The answer came within 48 hours. She posted an Instagram story. I watched it from my hotel room, drink in hand. Vanessa sat on her couch, tears streaming down her face. Makeup deliberately minimal, voice shaking. The picture of vulnerable authenticity. Hi everyone, she said. I need to tell you something, and it's really hard. I made a terrible mistake. Some of the wedding photos I posted weren't entirely authentic. Our photographer lost files, and I was so scared of disappointing you all that I recreated a few shots. I should have been honest from the start. I betrayed your trust, and I'm so sorry. I watched the comments flood in immediately. We all make mistakes. You're human. Thank you for being honest. That takes courage. Don't be so hard on yourself, Queen. But also, wait, which photos were fake? How many is a few? This feels like damage control dash, she'd confessed. But only barely. She'd minimized everything. Created a sympathetic narrative about lost files and innocent panic. She was still lying, just with a thin veneer of honesty. I watched her follower count. 800K minus 795K minus 790K. Dropping slowly, but not catastrophically. Some people were upset, but most seemed willing to forgive. Her sponsors weren't as forgiving. I saw statements from 3 major brands pausing their partnerships, pending further review. But even those were cautiously worded, leaving the door open for future collaboration. She was going to survive this. She'd issue a few more apologies, lay low for a month, then come back with a redemption arc. Her followers would eat it up. She'd rebuild, maybe not to the same level, but enough to maintain the lifestyle. Unless someone showed them the full truth. That's when Riley posted. I was in a meeting with a client when my phone exploded with notifications. I excused myself and stepped into the hallway. Riley had published a detailed article on Medium titled, How I Helped Fake a Marriage for Content. My heart pounded as I read it. She laid out everything. The complete timeline, not just Vanessa's curated version. The contracts showing $8,000 for wedding photo recreation services. The planning documents proving premeditation. Text message screenshots of Vanessa instructing her to manipulate specific shots. Behind-the-scenes photos from the staged shoots. Vanessa in her wedding dress in a Portland studio. Me in front of a green screen, actors playing wedding guests. Riley explained how it escalated. How it started with enhancing authentic photos, then progressed to completely fabricating moments. How Vanessa had pushed for more and more manufactured content. How Riley had felt trapped but complicit. She ended with an apology. I was wrong to participate. I was young and needed money and wanted to please someone I admired. But those aren't excuses. I helped deceive hundreds of thousands of people. I helped betray Chen, a good person who deserved honesty. I'm cooperating fully with any investigations and accepting whatever consequences come. I'm sorry. The article went viral immediately. Within an hour, it had 50,000 views. Within 3 hours, lifestyle bloggers and commentary YouTubers were covering it. By evening, it was trending on Twitter. Hashtag Vanessa Chen exposed, hashtag influencer fraud, hashtag fake authenticity. I sat in my hotel room watching the internet do what the internet does. Turn one person into a cautionary tale. A meme. A symbol of everything wrong with influencer culture. Vanessa's follower count plummeted. 790K, 700K, 650K, 600K. Her remaining sponsors issued new statements. These ones definitive. Partnerships terminated, previous payments under review, legal action possible. Her agent dropped her. Her PR team resigned. Her remaining friends, other influencers who'd built their brands on authenticity, distanced themselves publicly. My phone rang. Vanessa. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Marcus, please. Her voice was ragged, desperate. Please talk to me. This is getting out of control. Is it? I asked calmly. Or is this just consequences? Riley lied about half of it, she said frantically. She made it sound so much worse than it was. I need you to make a statement, tell people we're working through this, that you support me. If we present a united front, we can salvage. There is no united front. I cut her off. We're getting divorced. Silence. What? You received the papers yesterday. Check your email. No. Her voice broke. No, Marcus, you can't leave me now. I need you. If you stand by me, we can fix this. People love a redemption story. We can what, Vanessa? Stage a reconciliation? Film a teary makeup video? Turn our divorce into content. I need you, she screamed. You never needed me, I said quietly. You needed the idea of me, the supportive husband who made you look grounded and relatable. But I'm not a prop in your narrative anymore. Marcus. Goodbye, Vanessa. I hung up. She tried calling back, but I blocked her number. I poured another drink and watched the sunset over Seattle, watching my wife's world collapse in real time on my phone screen. I'd given her grace. I'd stepped aside. And now gravity was doing the rest. Chapter 8. The collapse the next 3 weeks were brutal, but I watched from a distance, documenting everything. Vanessa lost everything systematically, piece by piece. First, the financial collapse. Her lifestyle had been entirely funded by influencer income, 6 figures annually from sponsorships, affiliate marketing, and brand partnerships. With all of that gone, she couldn't maintain her expenses. Her mortgage now went unpaid. I got automated emails from the bank about late payments. David confirmed that in the divorce, her debts from the fraud would be hers alone since they stemmed from her business activities, not our marriage. I was protected. She tried selling the fake wedding photos as art to some desperate collector. That backfired spectacularly when the internet found out and roasted her for trying to profit from fraud. Again. Second, the lawsuits started rolling in. A consumer protection organization filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of followers who'd purchased products based on Vanessa's fraudulent endorsements. The claim was that she'd engaged in deceptive business practices, and consumers had relied on her false representations when making purchases. The photography studio she'd rented in Portland sued her for violating their rental agreement by using their space for fraudulent commercial purposes, which breached their liability policies. Even our actual wedding venue in Napa Valley sued her, claiming her fake photos harmed their reputation by misrepresenting their services. Her legal fees piled up fast. I heard through David that she was drowning in debt, borrowing from her parents, liquidating assets. Third, her social following evaporated. 600K, 400K, 250K. Most who remained were hate followers, people who enjoyed watching her suffer. Every post she made got torn apart in the comments. She tried apologizing again. Another tearful video. I know I messed up. I'm in therapy. I'm growing. I'm learning. Please give me another chance. The response was brutal. You're only sorry you got caught. Still trying to monetize your tears? Delete your account and get a real job. She tried pivoting to authentic redemption content, documenting her downfall and growth, but no one believed it. Everything she said or did was viewed through the lens of her fraud. She destroyed her own credibility so thoroughly that even genuine remorse looked like performance. I attended divorce mediations through Zoom, keeping my camera off, letting my lawyer handle most of it. The few times I did have to interact with Vanessa, she looked different, older, tired. The carefully maintained influencer aesthetic had crumbled without money for treatments, designers, professional makeup. In one mediation session, she tried to speak to me directly. Marcus, can we please talk? Just the two of us. My lawyer started to object, but I waved him off. What do you want to say, Vanessa? She looked at the camera, even though mine was off. Are you happy now? Watching me lose everything? No, I said honestly. I'm not happy, but I'm at peace. I made a mistake, she said, her voice bitter. One mistake, and you destroyed my entire life. One mistake. I leaned forward even though she couldn't see me. You made 1,000 mistakes, Vanessa. Every fake photo, every manipulated post, every lie you told me and your followers. Every morning you woke up and chose to keep lying. Every night you came to bed and pretended everything was fine. Those were all choices, and you didn't stop until you got caught. I loved you, she said, and for the first time she sounded genuine. I really did love you, Marcus. Did you? I asked. Or did you love what I represented? The husband who made you look desirable, stable, authentic? The relationship that made you relatable to your followers? She didn't answer. That's what I thought, I said. Our divorce was finalized in record time. I got our house. She couldn't afford it anyway. I got my financial independence, my reputation intact. She got nothing except debt and infamy. I heard through mutual friends that Vanessa moved into a small apartment in the suburbs with her mother Carol, who'd always been bitter that her daughter married just an architect instead of someone famous. Carol was probably thrilled to have new reasons to hate me, new ways to remind Vanessa of her failures. Vanessa got a job at a marketing firm. A regular job with a salary, benefits, a commute. No glamour, no fame, no followers hanging on her every word. She was ordinary now. And for someone who'd built her entire identity on being extraordinary, on being watched and admired and envied, That was probably the worst punishment imaginable. I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty, sad for what could have been if she just valued reality over performance. But I also felt free. Chapter 9. Riley's redemption arc. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, Riley contacted me. Her message was simple. Can we talk? I owe you a real apology. No strings, no agenda. Just accountability. We met at a coffee shop in Capitol Hill. Neutral territory. The same coffee shop, ironically, where Vanessa and I had our first date 4 years ago. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. Riley looked healthier than when she'd broken down in my office. Her eyes were clearer, her posture less hunched. She'd cut her hair short, a physical marker of change. Thank you for meeting me, she said as we sat down with our coffees. You said you owed me an apology. I do. A real one. She took a breath. What I did was wrong. I helped your wife commit fraud. I manipulated photos of you without consent. I profited from deception. And for a long time, I told myself it wasn't that bad, that everyone edits photos, that I was just doing my job. But that was bullshit. I knew it was wrong, and I did it anyway. I nodded, letting her continue. I cooperated fully with all the investigations, she said. The lawsuits, the consumer protection inquiry, everything. I turned over every file, testified about everything Vanessa asked me to do. My lawyer thinks because I came forward voluntarily and cooperated completely, I'll avoid jail time. Probably probation and fines. That's good. Is it? She laughed bitterly. I deserve worse. I helped destroy your marriage. I helped deceive hundreds of thousands of people. I took money to lie. Why did you really do it, Riley? And don't just say money. There's more to it than that. She considered this for a long moment. Money was part of it. I had $50,000 in student loans, rent in Seattle, credit cards maxed out. When Vanessa offered me $8,000 just for a photo shoot, it felt like winning the lottery. And the other part? I admired her, Riley admitted. She was everything I wanted to be. Successful, confident, beautiful, independent. She had this career that seemed so glamorous and creative. When she asked me to help her, I felt chosen. Special. Like I was being invited into this exclusive world. And when did you realize it was wrong? Immediately, she said without hesitation. The very first time she asked me to Photoshop tears onto your face. I felt sick. But by then, I'd already taken the money, signed the contracts. And she was so persuasive. She made it seem like I was being naive for worrying, like this was just how the industry worked. And I wanted to believe her because the alternative, admitting I was complicit in fraud, was too terrifying. What made you finally come forward? Riley traced the rim of her coffee cup. She wanted to do it again. The Hawaii anniversary trip that never happened. She had it all planned out. Studio shots, Photoshop backgrounds, manufactured moments. And she was so excited about it, talking about how much engagement it would get, how much money she could make. And I couldn't. I looked at you. This person who had no idea what we'd done. And I couldn't do it anymore. She pulled an envelope from her bag and slid it across the table. What's this? A check. $15,000. It's most of what she paid me. I kept $5,000 for legal fees, but the rest is yours. I know it doesn't fix anything, but it's all I have. Please take it. I stared at the envelope. I don't want your money, Riley. Please. Her voice cracked. I need to do something to make this right, even if it's just symbolic. Please. I took the check, but I'd already decided I'd donate it. Maybe to a consumer protection organization or media literacy programs. Riley deserved consequences, but she also deserved a chance to rebuild. Are you in therapy? I asked. She nodded. Twice a week. Working through a lot of stuff. Why I was so desperate for approval that I compromised my ethics, how to set boundaries, how to live with what I did. That's good. Have you talked to Vanessa? Riley asked. I shook my head. Not since the mediation. Have you? She sent me messages before I blocked her. Vicious ones. Blaming me for everything. Saying I ruined her life by going public. That if I just kept quiet, we both could have moved on. Do you think that's true? That you ruined her life? Riley met my eyes. No, I think she ruined her own life. I just stopped enabling her. We sat in silence for a moment. What will you do now? I asked. I'm finishing my degree, she said. Photography, ironically. But I want to teach ethics alongside technique. Make sure the next generation understands that art should capture truth, not create illusions. At least not dishonest ones. That's a good goal. What about you? She asked. Are you doing okay? I considered the question. I'm getting there. It's been hard, but I'm rebuilding. Focusing on work, spending time with friends and family, figuring out who I am outside of that relationship. I really am sorry, Marcus, for everything. I know you are, and I appreciate you taking accountability. A lot of people wouldn't. Before she left, Riley hesitated. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you think you'll ever forgive her? Vanessa? I thought about that. I don't know. Maybe someday. But forgiveness isn't for her benefit. It's for mine. So I can move forward without carrying this anger everywhere. Riley nodded. That's mature. More mature than I'd be. I'm still working on it, I admitted. After Riley left, I sat alone with my coffee, thinking about complicity and consequences, about how we're all capable of terrible things given the right circumstances and incentives. Riley was wrong, but she'd owned it. She'd faced consequences and was trying to grow from them. Vanessa never really did. Even in her apologies, she minimized and deflected. She was sorry she got caught. Sorry her career imploded. Sorry she lost her lifestyle. But I don't think she was ever truly sorry for the betrayal itself. I donated Riley's check to a media literacy nonprofit. A small gesture, but it felt right. Chapter 10. Moving forward, my new beginning. 6 months after everything imploded, I was in a completely different place. Physically, emotionally, mentally. I sold our house. Too many memories. Too much contamination from Vanessa's lies. Every room reminded me of content shoots, of manufactured moments, of the performance I'd been unknowingly part of. I bought a smaller loft in downtown Seattle. Modern, minimalist, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. No space for ring lights or backdrop setups. Just space for me to breathe. I threw myself into work, but differently than before. I took on a pro bono project, designing a community center for a nonprofit that served homeless youth. It was the first project in years that felt meaningful rather than just profitable. I worked with the kids who'd used the space, getting their input on what they needed. A safe place to study. A commercial kitchen for learning job skills. Art spaces for expression. Every design decision was about serving real people with real needs, not creating aesthetic moments for social media. My colleagues noticed the change. You seem different, Marcus, Jennifer said one day, bringing me coffee. Lighter, somehow. Maybe I am, I said. I'm not carrying someone else's performance anymore. Good, she said simply. You deserve to just be yourself. I started dating again, though I took it very slowly. The idea of trusting someone felt impossible at first. How would I ever know if someone was genuine or just performing? My friend David and his wife Elena set me up with one of Elena's coworker. She's great, Elena promised. Real, down to earth. Not interested in social media drama. Her name was Claire. She was 30 years old, a high school English teacher. When I Googled her, I couldn't help myself. I found almost nothing. No Instagram presence, no lifestyle blog, no personal brand. Just a LinkedIn profile and a photo from a school website. Our first date was coffee. Simple, low pressure. She showed up in jeans and a sweater. No makeup except maybe some lip gloss. Hair pulled back in a ponytail. So, she said after we'd ordered. Elena probably told you I'm aggressively boring. No social media, no exciting hobbies. I go to work, come home, read books, hang out with my cat. That's my whole life. I laughed. That sounds perfect, actually. We talked about books, about teaching, about architecture. She asked thoughtful questions about my work. She didn't take a single photo of her coffee or our food. She was just present. We went on a second date. then a third. I told her about Vanessa on the fourth date, figuring she deserved to know what she was getting into. I know, she said simply. You know? Elena told me. She wanted me to understand what you'd been through. I hope that's okay. It is. What do you think? Claire considered this. I think your ex-wife had a sickness a lot of people have now. The need for external validation, for constant attention, for likes and comments and followers. I see it in my students all the time. They're so worried about documenting their lives that they forget to actually live them. Do you worry about that? Not anymore. I deleted social media 2 years ago. Best decision I ever made. Now I just exist without an audience. And it's incredibly freeing. I fell for her slowly. It wasn't the dramatic, swept off my feet feeling I'd had with Vanessa. It was quieter, steadier, real. We dated for 3 months before I introduced her to my mom. She seems lovely, my mom Margaret said after dinner. Very genuine. She is. Are you happy, honey? I thought about that. I'm getting there. Some days are still hard. But yeah, I think I'm happy. My mom hugged me. That's all I want for you. Claire and I kept our relationship private. No social media posts, no public declarations. We existed in our own space, sharing moments just with each other. One Saturday we went hiking. At the summit, overlooking mountains and forests, Claire asked, "Do you ever miss it? The attention, the glamorous life, being part of something people watched?" I thought carefully. No, that was never really my life, it was Vanessa's. This is my life. Simple, honest, mine. She kissed me. We took a selfie together, just one on her phone, never to be posted anywhere. A moment captured for memory, not content. 8 months after the divorce, Claire and I got engaged. I proposed at the community center I'd designed, which had just opened. Kids were playing in the spaces I'd created. Families were using resources that would actually help them. This is where I want to ask you, I told Claire. In a place that represents what I learned. Creating something real that serves people. Not something fake that exploits them. She said yes. We planned a small wedding. My mom's backyard. Just family and close friends. Claire's sister Emma, who was a hobbyist photographer, offered to take casual photos for our personal albums. No professional photographer? My mom asked. No, I said firmly. Just Emma taking some shots for us to remember the day. No content, no posts, no performance. Just a wedding. I occasionally wondered about Vanessa. Through the grapevine, I heard updates. She was still working her marketing job. She tried starting a new Instagram focused on authentic redemption, but it never gained traction. People don't forgive easily online, especially when the offense was about authenticity itself. I didn't hate her anymore. I just felt sad for her. Sad that she'd valued image over substance so completely that she'd destroyed everything real in her life. One evening, I was at a gallery opening, the same one where Vanessa and I had met 4 years earlier. I was there with David and Elena, enjoying art without any agenda beyond appreciation. Marcus. I turned, and there she was. Vanessa looked different. Natural makeup, simple jeans, and a sweater. None of the influencer aesthetic. She was alone. Hi, Vanessa. We stood awkwardly for a moment. People around us continued looking at art, completely unaware of the history between us. I'm not going to ask how you are, she said finally. I can see you're doing well. I didn't respond. I just wanted to say I'm sorry, she continued. Really sorry. Not for getting caught, not for losing my career, for betraying you, for treating our marriage like content. You deserved better than what I gave you. I studied her, looking for manipulation or performance, but I only saw exhaustion and regret. Thank you for saying that, I said. Are you happy? She asked. I considered lying, but decided on truth. Yes, I'm getting married soon. Something flickered across her face. Pain, maybe, or loss, but she nodded. Good. You should be happy. You were always the genuine one. She started to walk away. Vanessa. She turned back. I hope you find what you're looking for. Real connection, not just validation. Substance, not just image. Her eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered, then disappeared into the crowd. David appeared at my side. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said, surprised to find I meant it. "I really am." Chapter 11. The final post closure. A year after the divorce, I did something I never thought I would. I wrote about what happened. Not for revenge, not for attention, but for closure, and maybe to help others who'd experienced something similar. I published an essay on Medium titled, "When Your Marriage Becomes Content: My Experience with Influencer Fraud." I wrote about the betrayal, the fake photos, the slow unraveling of everything I thought was real. I wrote about discovering the metadata, the contracts, the manufactured moments. I wrote about the decision to step aside and let consequences unfold naturally rather than seeking revenge. But I also wrote about forgiveness, not for Vanessa, but for myself. For ignoring red flags. For being complicit in the performance without realizing it. For choosing appearances over substance in my own ways. I wrote, "We live in a culture that rewards performance over authenticity. Social media has taught us to curate our lives, to show only the highlight reel, to manufacture moments that look spontaneous. My ex-wife took this to an extreme, but we all participate in it to some degree. The question is, where do we draw the line? When does editing become deception? When does curation become fraud?" The essay went moderately viral, 50,000 views in the first week. Not millions like Vanessa's fake wedding photos had gotten, but enough to spark conversation. I received hundreds of messages, people sharing similar stories of partners who exploited their relationships for content. Families torn apart by social media obsession. Individuals who'd lost themselves trying to maintain online personas. One message stood out. It was from a woman named Taylor who'd been one of Vanessa's most devoted followers. "Your wedding photos inspired me," she wrote. "They set my expectations so high that my own relationship couldn't compete. When my boyfriend didn't cry during our proposal, I felt cheated. When our wedding photos weren't magazine perfect, I felt like we'd failed. I compared my real life to fabricated content constantly, and it made me miserable. Thank you for telling the truth. It helped me understand that the problem wasn't my relationship. It was my expectations based on lies." That message crystallized everything for me. Vanessa's fraud wasn't just personal. It had damaged countless people who believed in the fantasy she sold. People who measured their real lives against manufactured perfection and found themselves wanting. A few weeks after publishing the essay, I was invited to speak on a podcast about influencer culture and authenticity. I hesitated, not wanting to become defined by this experience, but ultimately agreed. The host, Brandon, asked thoughtful questions. "Do you regret marrying her?" I thought carefully. "I regret that it wasn't what I thought it was. But I don't regret the experience. It taught me to value real connection over performance, substance over appearance. In a weird way, Vanessa's betrayal freed me to live more authentically." "Have you forgiven her?" "I'm working on it," I answered honestly. "Forgiveness isn't for her benefit. It's for mine. Carrying anger only hurts me. So I'm learning to let it go. Not because she deserves forgiveness, but because I deserve peace." What would you say to people in similar situations? Partners whose relationships are being exploited for content. I thought about that. Trust your instincts. If something feels performative or fake, it probably is. And remember that privacy is valuable. Not everything needs to be shared, documented, posted. Some moments are more meaningful when they're just for you. After the podcast aired, I received a message from an unknown number. "I listened to your interview. You're more gracious than I deserve. I'm trying to become a better person. I hope someday I can look at myself the way you look at yourself, with peace." I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to respond, to have a real conversation about what happened, to seek some final closure. But I realized I didn't need that anymore. I'd already found closure by moving forward, by building a life that was genuinely mine. I didn't respond, but I didn't delete the message either. Maybe someday I would. Or maybe I'd leave it there as a reminder of where I'd been and how far I'd come. That weekend, Claire and I got married in my mom's backyard. It was nothing like my wedding with Vanessa. No professional vendors, no aesthetic cohesion, no viral potential. Just 50 people who loved us, gathered under string lights. Claire and I had hung ourselves. Emma took photos with her good camera, but they were just for us. Candid shots of my mom crying, of Claire's dad giving a toast, of kids from the community center I designed playing in the yard. During the ceremony, Claire and I exchanged vows we'd written ourselves. I promised to be real with you, I said, to share my life with you, not perform it for you, to value our private moments more than any public validation, to build something genuine, even when it's messy or imperfect. I promise to exist with you, not just beside you, Claire said, to be present, not just documented, to love the person you are, not the image you project, to choose substance over appearance, always. No one filmed it for Instagram. No one live-tweeted the ceremony. People were just there, present, engaged. Afterwards, we danced badly to music from a Spotify playlist. We ate food my mom and Claire's mom had cooked together. We talked and laughed and celebrated without worrying about angles or lighting or capturing the perfect moment. At one point, I looked around at everyone. Genuine smiles, real laughter, authentic connection, and felt overwhelmingly grateful. This was what I'd been missing with Vanessa. This realness, this presence, this life lived for ourselves, not for an audience. Claire squeezed my hand. Happy. Incredibly, I said. That night, after everyone had left, Claire and I sat on the back porch looking at stars. Do you think you'll ever talk to her again? Claire asked. Vanessa. I don't know. Maybe. If she genuinely changes, if enough time passes. But I don't need to. I've made peace with what happened. Good, Claire said. Because I need you here, fully present, not stuck in the past. I'm here, I promised. Completely here. Epilogue. 3 years later, 3 years after everything fell apart, I stood in the community center I designed, watching it fulfill its purpose. Children played in the open recreation areas. Parents gathered in the cafe space, connecting over coffee and shared struggles. Elderly residents attended computer literacy classes. Teenagers used the art studio to create, express, heal. This building represented everything I'd learned, creating something real that served people, not something fake that exploited them. Jennifer walked up with a folder. She still worked with me, though my practice had grown significantly. The mayor's office called, she said. They want to commission you for another project. You're becoming quite the popular architect, Mr. Chen. I smiled. Popular for the right reasons this time. Claire and I had been married for 2 years now. She was pregnant with our first child, a daughter we decided to name Margaret after my mom. We'd already agreed. No social media presence for our kids. No documenting their entire lives online. No turning their childhood into content. They'd have privacy, agency, the right to exist without an audience. Are you sure? My mom had asked when we told her. Don't you want to share photos with family? We'll share them privately, Claire explained. In group chats on shared photo albums that require passwords. But not publicly. Not for strangers to comment on and judge. My mom had nodded approvingly. Good. Let her just be a child. I hadn't seen Vanessa in 2 years. The last I'd heard, she'd moved to Portland permanently. She was still working in marketing, helping small businesses with their social media strategy. Apparently, she was good at it. Her experience with influencer culture made her uniquely qualified to teach ethical branding and authentic engagement. Someone told me she was in therapy, genuinely working on herself. That she'd started volunteering with a media literacy nonprofit, teaching teenagers about the dangers of social media addiction and performance culture. I hoped that was true. I hoped she'd found some peace, some authenticity, some version of herself that wasn't curated for consumption. Riley had graduated and was now teaching photography at a community college. She'd reached out occasionally over the years, birthday wishes, congratulations on my wedding, updates on her life. We weren't friends exactly, but there was mutual respect. She'd made a terrible mistake and owned it completely. That counted for something. The lawsuits had been settled years ago. Vanessa had paid what she could and filed for bankruptcy for the rest. Her internet infamy had faded. There were always new scandals, new influencers to vilify, new cautionary tales. She'd become a footnote in discussions about authenticity and performance, referenced occasionally in think pieces about social media culture. As for me, I'd learned that stepping aside and watching someone's world collapse wasn't really about revenge. It was about refusing to be complicit anymore. About letting natural consequences unfold without interference. About choosing peace over vindication. Vanessa had asked for grace, and in a way, I'd given it to her. I didn't publicly destroy her beyond providing Riley with support to tell the truth. Vanessa destroyed herself through her own choices. I just stopped protecting her from the consequences. My phone buzzed. A text from Claire. Just left the doctor. Baby is healthy. She's measuring big, going to be tall like you. Love you. I smiled, typing back. Love you too. See you at home. Real words. Real feelings. No performance. That evening, I was organizing old files when I found a photo album from my wedding with Vanessa. Professional shots from the actual ceremony, the real one, before the manufactured version replaced it in public memory. I flipped through it. We looked happy. Maybe we were, in those moments before everything became content. I didn't feel anger looking at these photos anymore. Just sadness for what could have been if Vanessa had valued reality over image. If she'd chosen substance over appearance. If she'd loved me more than she loved the brand. I closed the album and put it in a box labeled Archive. Not throwing it away, it was part of my history, part of my journey, but not keeping it accessible either. Tomorrow, Claire and I were having dinner with my mom to look at baby furniture. Next week, we were taking a trip to Vancouver. No itinerary, no photo requirements, just experience. Next month, we were attending a gallery opening where a local artist whose work I admired was showing. My life was beautifully, perfectly ordinary. Full of real moments, genuine connections, authentic experiences that existed just for me and the people I loved. I'd stepped aside and watched Vanessa's world collapse. But in the space that collapse created, I'd built something better. A life that was genuinely mine. Simple, honest, real. And that was worth more than 1,000,000 likes could ever be.